Hey folks, how's it going? RedMaster, and welcome back to another episode of Cards and Castles TV commentary. As always, bringing you some matches. I say this time around because I did pick out some matches that were a little interesting, and we'll go into more detail as to why that is as we progress through the video. But without further ado, folks, let's go ahead and jump right in to match number 1. Alright, so I figured we'd take a look at the least offensive matchup on our list, and that is, of course, going to be Brad taking on mousnou. Hopefully I pronounced that one right, but a Warlock Pirate going up against Crusader Viking here. And as we jump into the matchup, we're going to see dragons on the side of yellow-blue here, so sort of a classic dragon colors, if you will, going up against what could be Swarm or a couple other things that we just have to wait and find out for. But obviously going to start off with the Dragon Temple is the dragon player, mousnou, hopefully, again, pronouncing that right, into the Flame Prince from Brad, which is interesting because Flame Prince you don't often see too much going around. Mainly because it does take some setup time to really grow to big lengths, but he is quite decent if you can get him to those bigger stat lines. Ice Drake and another Temple coming down now, though, from mousnou, creating the Ice Drake to act as a blocker. I believe he picked that off of the Dragon Lore, right? He did quite a commitment of plays, which I'm not sure I agree with wholeheartedly here. It's a lot of early resources to commit just to clearing off a Salahar rider, when you can easily hold something like the Dragon Lore for maybe a bigger play down the line, pairing off Aeroth per se with something. So again, not sure if I like all the commitment, but hey, clears off the rider, gets him a little bit of an aggression with the big Drake here, and forces the Flame Princes back for now, which is not too shabby. Dragon Sword's coming out now, going to result in the Fire Drake. Fire Drake especially dangerous with Viking pairing off with Lightning Blades, which hopefully our friend here is running so we can showcase that power. Horseman coming out, sniping off the healthier of the two Dragon Temples. Is not a great situation for mousnou to be in. He does rely on those temples a little bit to make his dragons contend with the rest of the board here, and those Flame Princes obviously getting bigger and bigger as the rest of the game goes along. Mellow Bravery from the Dark Bender into the Flame Shield now, right? So a bit of a beefy bender for mousnou to take out here, and obviously look at the hand, not a whole lot that he can do right now to engage with it. He could set up an Aeroth play for maybe later, but we see he's going more aggressive with the Fire Drake here, choosing to pop the Flame Prince that was pushed up. I guess it was threatening the temple, so he saw a need to take it out, but kind of feels like he just at that point sacrifices the push or the resources necessary to kill off the vendor. Even with the Dragon Siege next turn, if he could get it off, it's just not going to be enough to deal with the Bender. So we're going to lose that Fire Drake here. You have to a clean Bender kill. Flame Prince, the original one, moving closer in as well. Oh, Verdict. That is something here. I do like this play here. We set up the Verdict with the Ice Drake here. This creates a nice little way for the Dark Bender to forcibly trade into the Ice Drake to trigger that Verdict play on the Bender itself here. And looks like Brad is going to kind of go through with it. I think maybe he was thinking maybe the Might of the Minotaur play would be the trap card, but instead Verdict going to really punish that Bender for being the only unit on the board here, deleting it from the game as of this point. But a suitable replacement comes in, Arcanon, a Lord of Chaos. And this is where mousnou's going to have a little bit of trouble here. The dragons need those bigger bodies to help contend with threats like Arcanon. So to have just an Aeroth coming out with the Dragon Crest shield, which, by the way, I'm very lucky that the shield landed on the rider, or on the Aeroth. It would have been better if it landed on the temple, thanks to the randomness of Arcanon. But that easily could have gone towards Arcanon or the enemy castle. So very thankful that the Dragon Crest shield didn't completely backfire here on mousnou. But Brad, of course, going to continue to pour on the pressure. Another Flame Prince, a Keeper, and of course the Arcanon looking to start chipping into face. We do need something, I believe. Okay, Ice Drake is not the thing we need, but it is a thing. We're going to use it to block off the face here. Aeroth going for the Flame Prince would open up to a big swordsman play here. And this is just not where mousnou wants to be. Granted, he didn't really have, I think, strong follow-up as the game proceeded. We didn't see things like the Green Drake or the Dragon Searches that are now coming into his hand. But yeah, just not a super good place to be in. He has the Aeroth, which can effectively pop the Swordsman here and survive, which might be the play. Arcanon being taken away by the Green Drake here. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of fire into our board here, as mousnou able to clear out all enemy threats for the time being, but down a lot in terms of the castle HP. And against Warlocks, a very dangerous situation to be in. You never know what kind of burn spells they can play. Onslaught on the Aeroth, though, removing it from the board here. Doesn't want to give mousnou any more draw value off of that. The Green Drake and Shadow Drake now forced to kind of just take up a bit of a standard aggro position. Horseman going to snipe away the Shadow Drake, killing off the Green Drake, because, of course, losing the buff from the Shadow means that Green Drake doesn't live anymore. And Brad now pushing in a bunch of smaller units to kind of wrap this up here. Drymoth for draw is good, because mousnou has the perfect lure into Drymoth play here. The positioning of this is a little weird, however, kind of just letting the Banshee die, or killing off the Banshee, leaving the Horseman to pop into face here, and exposing the Drymoth to things like Mordok that we're seeing here to create a little bit more value for Brad. And actually, with that, able to clean up the Drymoth effectively here with the Horseman, the Banshee, and the Mordok, leaving that Master Thief to, chip 2 on face, do its thing. mousnou needs a unit, does not find one, unfortunately, forced to pass back here, and this is really not where he wants to be. As much as, as good as Cloak of Ice is, you need units here, my man. And right now, we're just not finding them. A Swordsman lining up the face. Horseman hitting face as well. Not great. mousnou really has, I think, maybe one turn. Or maybe not. Dragon Knight actually going to do a lot of work here. Dragon Knight, of course, coming in. Trading with the Master, or from the Thief, which I think is a little bit awkward. But Cloak of Ice, certainly a way to extend the game a little bit further here. Shield as well for good measure. Makes sense. You kind of need to throw all your chips out onto the playing field. As the Faithful Drake looking to maybe try to walk away with it, although he does need healing again at some point. He's down to 4 HP. Only a matter of time before his castle will tick down to 0. Darkbender to defend as well. mousnou, does you have anything, my friend? He can search. Will he search? He will search. Search for the truth happening right now. Looking for some dragons, perhaps. Dragon Knight is not a dragon. A lot more spells. Last Stand, Dragon Siege. I get the idea, potentially, out of this deck is big dragons, but that just wasn't it, Chief. And, if that wasn't your clear sign of the day, make sure that your unit count is pretty healthy in decks to avoid situations like this. But overall, not bad for what's going to come later in the video, I promise you. Congrats to Brad for walking away with that one, putting up a solid amount of presence in that game to do some fun stuff. Took advantage of a couple opportunities as well presented by mousnou, but overall, a fine matchup. And let's go ahead and actually get into our next matchup, folks, to see what exactly awaits us in that one. Alright, folks, our next matchup, it will be Rebellion taking on jped. A little bit of ninjas on both sides here. Ninja Crusader against the Ninja Vikings. And again, jumping right in, seeing what both players have for us. It looks like jped may be another dragon deck, actually. Seeing the Faithful, seeing the Shadow Drake. If so, that's fair. We saw one variation unsuccessful. We'll see another try to rewrite that and get a victory for itself here in this game. Faithful Drake going to come out in response to the Earth Knight. Earth Knight, a bit of a strange choice from Rebellion here. You don't really see much with the Earth Knight in general. Speaking of cards, you don't see much. There's a goddamn suit of armor. So, okay. Rebellion probably on some kind of suit shenanigans here. Just seeing that card. A lot of movement, perhaps. Things like Sushi Shack, maybe Replacement Technique is going to be in here. But Earth Knight's a bit of an interesting card. The perk that people usually justify to play Earth Knight is just that regenerating 3 armor each turn. If your opponent can't get past that, 3 armor, it will just reset to be another pain in the ass for you down the road. So it's kind of like healing, but for a very weaker statted unit. So we'll see if that kind of plays into anything here. Maybe it is a replacement target, so i.e. it stays alive on the board long enough to pop with replacement, and then you throw down your suit of armor. Could be a potential idea, but I mean, we're seeing suit just getting thrown out turn 2 with nothing, so it's concerning. But let's see what we can do here. As jped goes on, summons another lumberjack here. His hand's a little bit iffy with the 2 temples and the Shadow Drake. Not much you could do for a turn 3, if you will. But now getting a little bit aggressive here on Rebellion, letting the Drake in for 2. While Rebellion set up a church here. Swiftness on the suit. The suit is in motion, folks. Here it goes. Chop, chop. Gonna take out the Faithful Drake. Earth Knight chopping away a Lumberjack as well. Not really agreeing with... Oh, okay. Never mind. I guess because we know we have Masuda. But we know this, folks, not a good play when you're going up against Vikings. Chain potential is super real. And here it is super valuable. Shadow Drake can simply pop into the Earth Knight to take as less damage as possible here and create a huge chain all around, killing the Masuda, weakening everything else by a bit here. It's just value that can't be denied. Even with the Green Drake in hand, I think the Temple play is far too valuable here, and jped agrees, going with the Temple of the 5 Gods, connecting to the Earth Knight, chaining against the entirety of the board here. Killing a couple things, but not the entirety of the board. Suit of Armor is a chunky lad, after all. Demon Hunter as the follow-up, though, is going to prove a little problematic here. I think we have the Green Drake to cover it. Yeah, Green Drake going to come out, and that's going to be very, very enough to kill it. I think the... Okay, I will say here, the base stat line on the Green Drake at that point was enough. The Alpha Strike was kind of a complete waste. You didn't need the extra attack, nor did you need the first strike to make that clean trade. You easily could have just let the Demon Hunter hit for 5, you hit, clear it out, and you would have been at the same place you were at right here, except you would have walked away with an Alpha Strike for later, holding that as a bit of a surprise. So I do think that is unnecessary. When you always have more health than the first strike, it's always just, you know, you walk into it and then you move on. You don't need any sort of fancy interaction shenanigans here from like first strike to first strike, or like freeze to first strike in other cases to, you know, secure the kill. But hey, this is still fine. You're able to kill off the Demon Hunter regardless, create another threat for your board here as we see the Sniper followed by the Priest. Okay, I mean, I will say it's a bit of an interesting call here, using Sniper as sort of the, I guess, the way to control the board here in these colors. Just having a big ass 5 attack range unit walking around on the board. It's interesting. I think a little more so better because we were able to protect it a bit more with the Priest, and these colors don't specialize in direct removal of targets like this. So, we'll see. We'll see. We'll carry on here as the Ice Drake now comes back out. That is going to freeze off the Suit of Armor. I think he's trying to go for maybe a cheeky Stone Statue play here. Gets another Ice Drake, which again kind of just gets thrown into the suit to make sure that the Shadow Drake trades. I guess this kind of makes sense because you don't want that thing to actually get two-faced. It was getting, you know, ever so closer. But now, I mean, Sniper cleans up the Shadow Drake here. Another Demon Hunter comes down, and Masuda as well. This is some gross follow-up here. We know that jped's hand is not really able to contend with this effectively right now. I mean, the Shadow Drake is something. The Lumberjack is sort of like this bait. But this is not good for jped right now. This is certainly not where we want to be. Demon Hunter going to slide for 5. As expected, Masuda popping the Lumberjack. Trading within the process because, again, that Temple is still on the board. Cleric plus Courthouse as well for follow-up here. And this is not too bad. Again, positioning here works out pretty well because of the chain, but if we had a Yarm, we'd be absolutely boned. Thankfully, no Yarm in sight from jped, so this is sort of okay for now. I will mention, though, that this can be dangerous when you place the unit, well, let's just start out of the way, right where Cleric is. It could be pushed back, dealing a lot of chain to all of these buildings. It doesn't really kill much, but still, a note to kind of take in is that this could be a lot of chain value for your opponent, even with the Temple as well for follow-up. So, yeah, that is something to consider. Anyway, Stone Drake now going to take out the Demon Hunter. Courthouse Judgment able to pop the remaining HP from it. Shadow Drake going to trade into the Cleric. Kill off the Cleric, if you will. Not going to heal anything. Everything is already at full health. Sniper coming back in, popping the Shadow Drake, and a second suit coming down to kind of block off the top spawn here a little bit. With the positioning of the suit, it does mean that the Courthouse, the Church, and the Suit of Armor are taking up 3 out of the 5 spawn spaces here. I'm not sure if he really wanted to commit to that just yet, but I guess he might have something planned for the Suit of Armor. We're seeing he's starting to gas out a little bit here. Same with jped over on this end, too. We're running into the point where we might be relying off of single card draw very soon, and that could be a very dangerous game to play. Anyway, let's throw back to Rebellion here for his turn. Another Sniper for follow-up. That is Okay, I guess this one's shiny now, folks, so it's gotta have some kind of magical power, clearly. Is JPEG gonna respond in kind with another temple, make that another temple times 2, both dragon and temple the 5 gods now out on the board here. A bit weird for the Ragnar to be positioned like that, but looks like Rebellion may not able to be taking out the Ragnar this turn. Yeah, gonna just pass it back here. Taking the 5 ding on the Ragnar, allowing Ragnar to kind of come in and pick off the healthier of the 2 snipers, which is fine for him. It kind of gives him a little bit of board control back. Swordsman as well for follow-up here. That's not that bad. That's not going to provide a bigger threat to Rebellion's board post-removal of Ragnar. Stone Drake, though, is going to be a fine answer, actually. No, it's not. And that, no, boy, okay. Couple things that I just off of this play here. Stone Drake, clearly not the move. I get it might have been the only thing in hand to deal a significant amount of damage to it, but at that point, I probably would not have traded outright with the Swordsman. I would have forced him to do something about it. Maybe put him in a spot where, you know, one in front of where Lumberjack currently is. And at this point, lining up the Lumberjack too just invites a actually not so great line of chain here. Not only killing off the Lumberjack and dealing 2 chain to everything in the back here, but also the Cleave can effectively pick off the Sniper as well, which is really, I think, the only big board clearing tool that Rebellion has left currently in his possession at this point. So to kind of sacrifice here off of a mistimed Cleave area, it's going to be pretty brutal here, and we're going to see the value taken. The Swordsman does disappear, but that doesn't matter to jped as he sinks in. A bit of damage here. This is going to make the church a little bit more sporadic and random, not just healing the castle. As you saw there, it healed the suit rather than the face, which now we're getting the sudden death. He does want face heal, so that way he can kind of avoid the destruction of sudden death in a way and just kind of play with the rest of his deck. But looks like we're going to see an armory, a sushi shack, more buildings coming down for no reason. I don't know why this many buildings are in. I get maybe sushi shack, maybe, but it's going to allow Dragon Knight, though, to kind of come in, clean up the Kunoichi with a lunging attack. The Ragnar moved into the Kuno, so unfortunately he couldn't get any sort of big value this turn, but jped looking to set up quite nastily in the following turn. The Green Drake at the 8-9, the Faithful threatening the Sushi Shack from the bottom as well. Not exactly great for Rebellion here. He does get the movement buff on the suit, but again, his positioning is not great for chain. I think that he's trying to kind of fake out jped, but in this scenario, I don't see why you wouldn't just kind of go for face here. Faithful Drake actually revealing the Kunoichi here. Secret Dragon triggering, going to create a Green Drake. Not really big deal, though, when all this chain value comes down. There we see, again, Green Drake hitting into the suit of armor that it was free to hit into, creating more chain, opening up the pathway. And overall, folks, this is just a ton of damage coming in to where Rebellion cannot recover. Yeah, this is just an unwinnable situation, I believe, at this point here. One turn to make a miraculous heal happen, maybe. Divine could have Hand of the Saint. Feels unlikely, though, here. And Salahar Rider knocking into face. It is going to clean up the game. So, yeah, folks, this is kind of what I mean here by interesting gameplay that we're seeing here. A couple folks performing some moves not in the best way, opening themselves up to quite a bit of damage. Some cases, it was somewhat unavoidable. Other cases, it wasn't. You kind of see where I'm going with, folks. If you thought game number 2 was a little bit wonky, wait till you check out our final game, game number 3. Alright, folks, if you thought match number 2 is a little wonky, wait till you check out match number 3 for the day. It's going to be a mirror matchup here as Druid Warlocks take on each other. bdotmayor versus Federeu? Federeu? That's not going to be right, I guarantee it. But let's go ahead and jump into the matchup, show you exactly what we mean. Obviously, we're going to be on, looks like, Federeu's end for this game. And, I mean, looks like a pretty basic, maybe rush style thing. Not sure yet. Again, most of these cards are pretty generic, except for the Rally. The Rally is interesting. I want to see where that goes in the deck here. But it looks like the Lumber for Salahar trade can open things up. This is going to prompt Fed to go into another Lumberjack. Absolutely fine there. Nothing wrong with that. Mayor going to respond, though, with a Dwarven Miner. Alright, that is interesting. Again, maybe leaning on the side of a little bit of a rush, but we'll see. Mana Core coming out, popping into the Dwarven Miner here. So Mana Core, cool. Nice little value card there, but unfortunately used in a bit of a wonky way into the Question. So a bit of a trade back and forth here, unit for unit. Although BDOT going to take an initiative here, go for the Metal into Flame. Now, I think Flame is pretty avoidable right now, but we're going to see Fed set up the Armory, which is important. I think the Armory is a fine play here. Reason being, it allows for the rally of the town to be a bit more impactful in the following turn, making them 3-3, so that way they can cleanly trade with everything. However, as you can see, things not going right to plan here as Centaur comes in from Mayor, popping the Armory. Now, this is an important play here that I do think was played a bit incorrectly here, and I'll show you in just a minute. Raleigh going to come out now, and instead of going for the Flame here, he goes for the Questing Knight kill into the dual hit on Primordial. I think that this is not really the way to go here. The reason being is that you could easily use the Rally up top to generate the 2 peasant there, and would have been able to kind of connect into the Primordial Flame to kill it. That way you would have actually preserved all the peasants to use against the remaining units, things like the Centaur and these Question Knight here, because we know that Fed has a Blacksmith in hand. He could have used that to make the peasants 3/2s to easily trade into the Centaur to do a bit more damage against maybe something else that would have come out. Instead, he kind of opts to clean up the Questing Knight and take 3 from the Perennial Flame, and ultimately, as you can see, leaving him with nothing left on the board here. And this is not exactly great if you are on the defending side of a big rush push, because at this point now, there's nothing stopping your opponent from just throwing more units down your face, because you still have to clean up what he threw out from the previous turn. So this is where a conga line might start to form here. Let's go ahead and see if that's going to be the case as we pass back here. Flame now open to deal a bit more damage to face. Ramrus onto the Flame of all things, landing another shot here with the Centaur, the Flame as well. Elvish Hunter, his companion stuff maybe here. Actually, companions on both sides here is the Elvish Hunter in the hand from Fed as well, which he's gonna go for here. And I guess this kind of makes sense. It does create cheaper companions, which actually perfectly math out to connect and kill off what's already on his face. But I would have liked to see that Centaur got a bit more value out of maybe killing off that Elvish Hunter on the other side of the board. We know it could have from, you know, the potential play we could have saw earlier, but this is just not going Fed's way at all. And you can see how, you know, a misplay here or there can lead to pretty significant outcomes in games here. If we kept the peasants around, we could have had a bit more bodies to deal with the situation. And this is just not good here. And following this as well, Blacksmith going to come down in the probably worst place possible here. I don't know. This could have been easily a misclick, and if that's the case, man, you know, misclicks happen, I understand. But, like, you could have thrown it out here to connect and kill off the Hunter that's right here. And you even see he looks to block to move against the Hunter as if he was going to kill it off. But because of his potential misclick, it ends up just being this, you know, weird blocker that even just dies to Smith. I mean, Mayor has no other response, I guess, to it, and just pops it with the Horseman, which, sure, by all means. And of course, the Hunter's making a trade, which also I find very, very strange. Regardless, we'll keep going to the matchup here. Beastmaster going to come out, a Questing Knight for follow-up as well. Fed's going to need to draw something crazy here. Barbarian something, but not a whole lot of something. We see the Wolf going to get killed off with a Pyromancer. Questing Knight trading from the Barbarian. I mean, if Fed can hold on, he's got a Leanna in the next turn here. Furnace coming down. Furnace, oh, okay. Well, we burned off the Barbarian. That's not great. Oh, it's a Minotaur, though. No, it looks like we're going to play the tree here. Tree, a bit more valuable for us. We're going to see the Pyromancer connect into the Bear Hog. Leanna going to go ahead and chip in. The Trent's doing their part as well, cleaning up the board here. And this does give the castle a little bit of protection against the Furnace Knight. If the Furnace Knight decides to hit into the castle, it is going to kill off, that weaker Trent from the Spirit Link. Mayor, though, going for another Beastmaster, not getting the best of pulls. Another set of Bear Hogs, if you will. They're not super great. But this is going to lead a Minotaur to come out of the board now. Minotaur going to smack into the Bear Hog, of course, free to kill thanks to the Spirit Link of the Trent. And then another Pyromancer for a good measure for follow-up. Now, this isn't too bad. Fed's kind of committed everything at this point to the board here. And if he can maintain it, he'll probably find a way to push to victory. Mayor avoiding the Pyromancer, I guess, makes sense because you want to kill this game, end this game faster. But Pyromancers are scary. I'm not sure if I would have just left them out there to do their own thing. But I don't know. Armory coming down now from Fed. Going to top deck that. Going to make the Pyromancer a little bit more valuable here. Popping Beastmaster, be it popping the Centaur. Minotaur even going as far as to connect to the other Beastmaster down the other end, which is a bold move for sure, but hopefully it pays off. Lumberjack going to connect into the Minotaur here for some draw, make that ×2. Lumberjack going to come in, hitting the Minotaur again into the Mordok. Now Mordok able to generate a last undead unit, excuse me, and gets a Horseman. Not the greatest. I think he was hoping to hit the one closer to the Horseman. This is fine. Fed pulling on a good top deck. The Northlands Ranger now going to come out and move towards face here. Pyromancer's not getting in damage too. I think Fed realizes that he needs to start pushing damage. He is, 7 points behind Mayor here, and we are now moving into sudden death. And this is a bit interesting here. So Manticore coming out for Spearlink protection and a pass back. Yeah, so there are a couple things to note here. Obviously, one of them being that the Manticore Spearlink is going to prove a problem. We can potentially blue fire this if we want to, or we can blue fire the Horseman into just, more damage. Curious to see what he goes with. He does have Blacksmith, though, as well for some good follow-up. And I think, I think that actually might be game here. So let's see if we can find the line. Blue fire into the Horseman. Going to connect with the Pyromancer, or at least one of them, into the Manticore. Ranger not attacking yet, thankfully grabbing that damage here. And yeah, it looks like with the Blacksmith, we actually have a little bit more than lethal to end off this game. So despite what I think to be probably a very poor misplay in that early rally, we were able to kind of bring it around, come back with it, which is great to see. I love when players are able to kind of rebound from their mistakes, especially something they might have not thought about through super well. And I think Mayor did gas himself out a little bit here, a little too aggressive with his pushes toward the late game. We saw he kind of just started, walking into things and getting punished for it. The Centaur maybe could have popped into a Pyromancer at that point, but just my opinions on that one. Again, congratulations to Fed, though, for picking up the win. Again, I probably butchered your name earlier, but such is life. But, folks, with that being said, that is going to close our final matchup for the day. So, let's go ahead and end off this video properly. English is very hard. Alright, folks, and with that being said, that is going to end our coverage for today. Of course, a lot to digest for sure, but hopefully you guys did learn a bit from these gameplays, what not to do at the very least here. But folks, if you did enjoy, be sure to let me know. Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Be sure to like the video. Be sure to share with your friend. Be sure to subscribe if you're new or haven't done so already to the channel. It's a great way to help show your support and help us grow. And yeah, with that being said, folks, until next time, stay gaming.